Okay, so let's jump right in. We're all hearing it, right? AI is the future. It's this massive, unstoppable wave of technology that's changing everything. But what if the biggest hurdle, the real challenge of AI, isn't about the technology at all? What if it's all about leadership? That's what we're going to unpack today, this idea that getting AI right is fundamentally a human challenge.
And the stakes are unbelievably high. Because get this, right now, even with trillions of dollars being poured into this stuff, a staggering 87% of AI projects are failing. They're just not hitting their goals. That's an incredible amount of wasted time, money, and frankly, potential. So what on earth is going on?
And that huge number isn't just a statistic. Let me tell you a quick and very expensive story. There was a major manufacturing company that dropped millions on a new AI system, thinking it would completely revolutionize their efficiency. But just 1 year later, the project was totally dead in the water. And the reason why is just, wow. The board found out that their own business leaders were almost completely hands-off, just paralyzed by how complex it all seemed. They left every single key decision to the tech experts. So they had the technology, sure, but they had zero leadership.
So here's our game plan. First, we're going to dig into that exact problem, what we're calling the AI leadership crisis. Then, we'll get to the fundamental choice every single leader has to make. And from there, we'll walk through the 4 essential actions you have to take to become a truly AI-savvy leader: learning, defining your purpose, driving inclusion, and building communication.
All right, so let's start with this crisis. When these multi-million-dollar projects go up in smoke, most people just assume the tech wasn't ready, right? That it just didn't work in the real world. But that's not it. It's almost never the tech. The real problem is a total vacuum of leadership. And here is the single biggest mistake that leaders are making. They assume that the super smart tech people can somehow also lead the entire business transformation. But that's not their job. So when business leaders step back, all the crucial ingredients, the vision, the motivation, the strategic direction, they just vanish. And that is the exact moment these massive investments start to completely fall apart.
This leadership vacuum forces a really critical decision, a fork in the road that every organization has to face, whether they realize it or not. And this one choice, this single decision, will pretty much determine if their AI initiatives soar or if they crash and burn.
And here's that choice, laid out as 2 completely different ways of seeing the world. On one hand, you have perspective 1. See AI as a tool to replace people, slash costs, and just drive machine-like efficiency. Then you have perspective 2. See AI as a partner, a powerful tool to augment human intelligence and unlock brand new levels of creativity and innovation. Now, think back to that 87% of failed projects. Which perspective do you think they defaulted to? Yeah, you get.
And when you choose that first path, you stumble into this really dangerous trap. It's called the tech-driving tech transformation. This is where the organization starts to value raw computing power more than human understanding. You're basically outsourcing your strategy to an algorithm. And the great irony is, leaders who think this way are pretty much making their own jobs obsolete.
So, how do we avoid that whole mess? Well, the journey to becoming an AI-savvy leader kicks off with action number 1. You've got to start learning. It's your first and, honestly, your most important job, because you simply can't lead what you don't understand. Now, I can hear you asking, okay, but how deep in the weeds do I really need to get with this stuff? And that's a fair question. There's this huge fear among executives that to lead an AI project, you've suddenly got to become a data scientist or a coder yourself. But that's just not true. The key is finding that sweet spot. Let's be really clear. You do not need to become a tech expert. What you do need is a solid strategic grasp of what's going on. You need to know what AI is amazing at, what it's really terrible at, and, this is the big one, where human judgment is absolutely, positively essential. That's what being savvy enough really means.
Okay, once you've got that foundational knowledge down, you are ready for the second critical action, defining purpose. Just think about it like this. An AI is basically a superpowered calculator. Without a clear purpose, a why that only a leader can provide, it's useless. Or even worse, it could actually hurt your business.
Chess grandmaster Garry Kasparov, the first world champion to famously lose a match to a supercomputer, he said it best. Deep Blue could calculate millions of moves a second, but it had no idea why it was playing chess. It had no purpose. Well, your AI doesn't know the why of your business either. Only you, the leader, can bring that to the table.
So, what does this actually look like day to day? Well, purpose-driven leaders live and breathe the company's mission.
They don't just toss a project over the wall to the data scientists. They're in there collaborating constantly, guiding them on which business questions actually matter. And so importantly, they frame AI not as some quick way to make a buck, but as a long-term investment in creating real, sustainable value.
And providing that purpose leads us right to the most critical human element of this whole thing: inclusion. Look, if your employees feel like they're about to be replaced or managed by some algorithm, your AI adoption is doomed before it even starts. It just will not work. And the data here is pretty sobering. Right now, nearly half of all employees do not trust AI at work. Just let that sink in for a second. How can you possibly roll out a new tool successfully if half of your team fundamentally distrusts it from the get-go? This makes building an inclusive culture a really urgent, strategic priority.
This was the actual rallying cry from Amazon workers who were being managed by algorithms, pushed to these insane productivity goals. It's just such a powerful, gut punch of a reminder of the human cost when you start treating people like cogs in a machine. When inclusion fails, you get frustration, you get resentment, and you get people actively fighting against you.
So how do you actually build that inclusive culture? Well, you create space for people to just connect as humans. You smash the silos and make your tech and non-tech teams actual partners. You lead with humility and empathy. And, critically, you recognize and reward people for their uniquely human skills: creativity, judgment, collaboration, the stuff an AI can never, ever replicate. Our final action, communication, is the glue that holds all of this together. A traditional top-down hierarchical communication style will absolutely cripple an AI project. AI thrives on the free flow of information, of data, and of feedback from every single level of the organization.
You know, a really powerful way to think about your role here is like a conductor of a symphony. You've got all these brilliant experts, data scientists, industry specialists, governance teams. They each play a different instrument, but your job is to coordinate them all, to channel their communication, so they create one coherent, beautiful piece of music.
And being that conductor means you're actively seeking out feedback from all those experts. It means democratizing your data, making it a shared asset, not a weapon some department holds onto. It means tearing down bureaucracy and building in feedback loops so that crucial info can get from the front lines to the decision makers fast.
But ultimately, these 4 actions, learning, purpose, inclusion, and communication, they're more than just a checklist. The real, final job of an AI-savvy leader is to weave them all together into a single, compelling vision for the future. A vision that makes people want to cross that bridge from where the company is today to where it could be tomorrow.
And that really is the final question for all of us. The technology is only going to get more powerful. It can analyze the data, it can spot the patterns, it can make the predictions, but it can never, ever provide the vision. That is, and it always will be, the essential work of a human leader. So the real question is, are you ready?